All right, this is Mr. McMurray on a bright and shiny uh, Monday morning, and we're going to talk about the Mobile project. Now, I'm not sure, I haven't worked out all the details how we're going to manage this for the people who are online permanently, but if you're going to be back, hopefully you'll be back by February the 9th, or you can bring it back whenever you get back. But anyhow, so here we go. First thing, this is the rubric. I'm going to look at it first, then we'll go back and look at the instruction sheet, which is back over here. You want to print a copy of this. A couple things that are on here. Whoops, they're not supposed to be on here. I thought I'd change that. But anyhow, parent signature, we're not going to worry about that. If you're coming back, whenever you come back, I can check it then that your parents have seen it and know that we're doing this project. The original drawing is by January 29th. That's, I believe, Friday. Okay. And so what I would like for you to do is do a sketch of what your mobile looks like. It does not have to be a nice sketch like these up here. Okay. It just needs to be kind of a rough draft showing what you're thinking about, how many arms it needs to have, and what you're going to hang off of it. Just the fact that you've thought about it and you have decided what you're going to use. Okay. And kind of an outline of your mobile. All right. Maybe remember the physics mobile that was up by my desk. Okay. Something to that effect. You can use anything. It can be things around the house. Certainly doesn't have to be, you have to go out and buy stuff. You can usually, I mean, some people use nut and bolts, and some people use branches and pine cones and whatever they found out in the yard, whatever. But anyhow, it's up to you, whatever you would like to do. That's up to you. Okay. But I would like to have you turn in an original drawing or sketch to me, either by email or whatever, by Friday. Okay. Now, it says on here that you need to have the masses of the objects. Well, if you happen to have, um, sorry, that threw me off. Okay. If you happen to have a scale or something where you can measure either in pounds, ounces, or grams, that'll be fine. If not, once again, when you don't worry about that. The main thing is I want you to have the drawing out. Okay, I will make allowances for people who are online. Okay. So you need to have that sketch drawing. That's just to show me that you're thinking about it. You've come up with something. It doesn't have to be finished yet or even done yet. Okay. Now, after you finish your actual drawing, then you're going to do a lever final drawing that's going to show the lever arms with the objects hanging off. Once again, if you have access to it, the mass of each object. But if you're at home, we'll once again allow for that. The lever arm distances. Okay, so like for example, here you would label how far it is from the string they're hanging from to the other hanging object. If there's more than one object hanging on each side, then you would do the distance from here to there and the distance from the string all the way out to the second one. All right, so you do both of those. If you can do the masses either in pounds or ounces or grams, then we'll do those. If not, then once again, we'll allow for that. Okay. And if you can do both of the weights of some sort and the distances, then you would multiply this times this, and you would show the torque for each of the arm. Okay. Notice for this one, there's the torque from here to here. So it's the 3 times 3.5 plus the torque from here to here, which is 9 times 3.5. And then we add those two together. All right, so you get the total torque if there's more than one object hanging off of a lever arm. All right, now the other things, and like I said, if you're online for extended time, we may just have you submit a drawing, picture or something so I can see it. But basically, the lever arms need to be balanced as they're shown on the drawing. Okay, so if you have them, they need to be balanced. The arms need to be free swinging when they turn around. They don't hit each other or tangle up with each other. The number of lever arms, you only have to have 3. You can have up to 6. Notice to get full credit, you would have to have 6. Okay, so 3, then 4, 5, and 6. So the more arms you get, the more complicated it gets. So I would definitely start smaller and then work your way up if you're going to do more arms. So to see where you need to stop if it gets too complicated. All right, it needs to have 7 objects hanging off of it. Okay, now you can hang objects off of each other. Okay, so for example, if I had a string here and I had it attached to another object, as long as it's free swinging, there's a string there, then that's okay. But if you just glue 3 things together here, that only counts as one object because they're all one solid object. Okay, they have to have a loose string in between them to let them move on it. Otherwise, it doesn't count as a separate object. So there has to be a total of 7 hanging objects. This is just a place where I can give you credit for creativity or just doing a really good job or kind of cool idea or something like that. So I'll put it there. Nobody's going to get, you're going to get a 6 or 7 probably if you do a good mobile. But if it looks like you just threw something together on the way to school that morning, yeah, you might get a little bit lower, okay? So do a good job. There needs to be a card at the top with your name on it, okay, and your class period tied to the top string. So, for example, up here, if this was yours and this was your top string, then you would put a little plaque across there with your name, blah, 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 and your class period, like, say, 9th period, but it would have been 9th period, so don't worry about that. Okay. But you'll put your class period. All right. And if it's turned in by time, either with photo or in person, by February the 9th, also, later it is, the more points get taken off, and a paragraph at the end. The paragraph at the end can be 2 ways. It can either be to describe how you had to change your project so that it would work better, okay? Or it can be, if you were going to do it again, how would you have done it differently? What are some things you learned from this one that you would do differently the next time you do it? Okay. Bonus, if you turn it in early, all right, that's 1 point per day. So if you're up to 5 days early, then you get 5 points, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. If you turn it in on time, you don't get any, but you don't get any taken off either. So that's good. All right. And then, of course, there's a place for parents to sign it, but like I said, that may not work since everybody's online. Okay. Now let's go talk about it a little bit more in detail up here. Okay. First of all, it needs to be 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. It can be a little bit bigger than that. Sometimes if they're long, they tend to be a little bit longer, but just don't want a humongous one. It can be very small. Some people have done it only a foot long or so, and that's okay too. All right. So, but just can't obviously be so big you can't get it in the doors. Okay. That's going to be a problem. It says you should have a minimum of 3 and no more than 6 freely swinging arms. Trust me, if you get 6 on there, that's pretty good. You don't want more. The more arms you can get more points, but fewer arms, sometimes it's better to do 3 and do a really nice job with those 3 or 4 rather than get so many that they start getting tangled up and it starts causing problems, okay? Now, your arms can be done with wooden dowel rods. I have some, but that will not necessarily help if you're online. But you can use, some people use like clothes hanger wire. It says metal wire, but that should be metal wire. All right, sounds to me like they were autocorrect maybe kicked in there. Anyhow, but clothes hangers, you can cut off a piece of that for the arms and stuff like that for fairly rigid things. Some people have used, like I said, branches. Some people have used bamboo skewers, especially if you're doing a smaller one. You could do that. It just doesn't have to be just anything that will be like that. Some people use small branches off the trees, which aren't straight, but that's a little more challenging sometimes. But they've done some really creative things with that. So anything like that for the rigid arms. Now, the strings that you use, you can use any kind of string you want. It needs to be flexible. I don't want rigid wires. They need to be flexible here. Okay, so any string, twine, etc. But you can use fishing line. Fishing line sometimes looks cool because you don't see the line as much, and so it looks like they're kind of floating in air. The other disadvantage sometimes is if you tie it, unless you tie it with a good fishing knot or something, sometimes it unties itself. It just a simple knot won't always work on it, and sometimes it doesn't hang nice and straight down the paper. But that's just something you can decide when you're doing it. Okay, so we said you need a sketch, a rough draft. That's the one that's due by Friday. Just kind of how it will look, okay, and things like that. For example, it's also so I can catch obvious problems. So I say, oh no, that's not going to work. Okay, for example, if you had something hanging straight underneath this one, those do not count because basically anything will balance if you hang it straight. You just have a string of objects hung up. So it needs to be offset at least a little bit because otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so I just want to see it. So if I can see something, oh, don't do this, whatever. Okay, I can catch those mistakes now. If it applies to you, you can bring them, find the mass. If you can do it at home, that's great. Weight or mass. If not, then we will not worry about that. Okay. Generally speaking, if you will have bars hanging off from other ones. Okay, like so. Because you're going to have at least 3 of them. Okay, so when you start this, it's best that you get this one first and get it balanced. Okay, then you can go up here and tie it up here and get this one balanced. But if you get the top one balanced and then you start hanging more things off of it, then it's going to mess everything up. So always start at the bottom levers or arms of your levers and work your way up to the top. Okay. All right. Let's see. Always start at the bottom, work upward. You may want to put tape or something on it, just temporary, while you're balancing them. Once you finally get it how you want it, then you may want to glue it or put a notch or drill a hole in it or something like that in the rod to make it more permanent. However, if you're bringing it to school, I would suggest that you might want to leave it just taped or whatever till you get up to school. I usually have a little glue gun or something. Or if you're bringing something else you want to use to attach it permanently, it might be better to wait till you're up to school to do that, because sometimes on the ride up things shift, things happen to them, and yeah, so whatever, that's up to you. All right, you should make a nice drawing with a ruler, shows the masses, should have straight lines, more like this one was originally before I started scratching on it. Show the length of the arm, show the torques and so forth like that. And then, like I said, the paragraph, make a list of changes or what you would do differently if you're going to do it again, okay? Some overall guidelines: generally lighter is better. I mean, you can't be too light, because if they're not light enough they won't bob up and down. But on the other hand, you don't want real heavy objects. Are hard to balance sometimes and work with, and very fragile objects. Do not use your mom's favorite china cups, or drill holes in your brother's favorite CDs, or sister's CDs, or something like that, or your little brother or sister's favorite Disney DVD. Okay, don't use anything that you would not be willing to get back. Okay, I will obviously try to take care of them and stuff, but I can't guarantee that something might not happen to them. So don't use anything just very valuable or sentimental value that you don't want anything to happen to. Okay, things might happen to it at school, so and bring it back and forth. So I would just recommend that. I would bring some supplies with you when you bring it to school, just in case you need to fix something back up, glue, things like that, string, whatever. Once you've got your basic mobile, then you can always do things to make it look nicer. That's always good. But main thing is, first of all, make sure that you have it and it balances and it has enough arms and all that kind of stuff first. Then you can worry about all the other stuff. Sometimes people spend so much time planning the little details and neat little artistic-y things that they forget to actually get it balanced in time and get rushed at the end. Generally speaking, it's cool if you have more things on it, but it also gets more difficult to make it all work, so they not get them tangled up and stuff like that. And the bottom line is, don't ever quit. Okay, it takes time. Give yourself time. Don't wait till the night before. Can't recommend that for anything really, but definitely not for this one. It can be very frustrating sometimes. So just keep on, stiff upper lip, and keep soldiering on, and eventually it will work out. All right. If you have any other questions or comments or complaints, forget the complaints. But anyhow, if you have any comments or questions, please let me know and send me an email or whatever. Have a great day.